Alright, let's figure this out. I've watched videos, I've done a bit of study. I don't know the route. That's gonna be the thing I'm learning here. But I'm rolling. I'm schmoving. I was, in fact, not schmoving. So from the title from this video, and the splits on screen, I recently completed a speedrun for Ender Lilies. Why? Well, because I love this game. And that's pretty much it. That's my whole motivation. 5 hours seems like a long time, but when you compare it to the world record, okay, so it's not a great time. The whole point of this specific run is that it was my first run, and I still had lots of learning to do. Too much. So if you find yourself in the same situation, you're wanting to start learning how to speedrun Ender Lilies, here's a good start. For ending A at least. I don't really run the other categories yet. And a disclaimer for spoilers. I'm assuming you've already played the game and know the basics. I also highly suggest joining the Discord server, link in the description, for further help. They've got tons of useful guides and resources and people to help you out with any questions. So without further ado, let's get started. The very first thing to note are 4 movement techniques, called techs for short. The first is notably from Craze819, or at least they're the one who posted these next couple clips. I call it skipping rocks, but it's essentially a double dodge on the ground. By delaying the first dodge of the jump to right before hitting the ground, we're able to dodge again immediately and gain some extra distance. The next is from Craze as well, and it's fairly simple. You use the prior to cancel the climb animation in the middle of it, so it allows us to jump or dive immediately afterwards, gaining free time. So now we have our main form of movement, the dive. When using the dodge immediately after jumping, an extra boost of horizontal movement is given over regular mid-air dodge. It's a small boost, but we take what we can get. This technique is more effective than skipping rocks, but requires a bit of space most of the time. Lastly is the animation cancel using the weapon switch. It's more of a recovery cancel actually. Essentially, whenever we're about to land, we hit R1 to switch weapons. It buffers and completes as soon as we land and cuts the recovery frames of the dodge short, allowing us to jump and start the new dive sooner. So combining that with the previous movement techs, you get some pretty fast movement most of the time. This beginning part is fairly simple. All you have to do is just use the movement text from before to move as fast as you can through the area, avoiding all the enemies and getting to the first boss of the run. Now, I would hope you can see that my movement here is, at the very least, suboptimal. I am like actively going against myself with a lot of this. So that's part of one of the things I need to learn, but it wasn't entirely the focus. A lot of this run was learning where to go and what the hard parts are, so that I can better study it in the future. But yes, feel free to absolutely roast me on this trash movement at times, missing platforms, dodging into walls, just walking into enemies. It's an interesting time. Entering into the boss room of the first boss, Siegrid, not Silva like it says on the splits. That is my mistake. There's no real strategy. You just keep the movement tight. The only specific strategy you need is that the Emerald Knight has a 3-hit combo, and usually there's a bit of recovery frames at the end. However, very similar to doing the dodge, you can switch weapons immediately afterwards and cut that recovery short. So you can 3-swing combo, switch weapons, 3-swing combo, switch, and get that infinite going. Some of the movement is very simple. When she jumps in her monstrous form, you can just walk slightly to the side without having to dodge at all. But it's very small things that's just experience based. Experience I don't quite have yet. Note that normally you do not actually grab the horse here because you don't have use for the fast travel. I knew I was going to have to utilize some safety strats because I was going to be either dying or having to backtrack a little bit. Because without fast travel you can actually get stuck at a really far respite if you die, and then that's it, run is gone. So don't usually grab this horse. I did because I was starting it. So now, with the first boss defeated, the next goal is to defeat Dark Witch Eleine. No idea if that pronunciation is correct or not, but from the last boss we did gain the double jump. So this is where the movement changes again. So, as you'll see me not use for a while, you can jump, start the double jump, and then dive. So now instead of diving off the first jump, you're diving off of the second jump. Gets you a little bit more distance with a bit more verticality, so you go a bit farther. Of course, still doing the weapon switch to cancel the recovery frames, and just boosting your movement. Be careful not to dive in inopportune spots, because you don't want to hit a wall and then be like trapped in a pit. You'll also see that, but from here on out you're just following a very specific route to the boss. You also don't really stop at these respites on the usual route. Again, I'm doing it just for safety, because if I die I can respawn, but this is not usually part of the route. Now, that specific route we mentioned, I was supposed to go up there, not down. This one isn't a massive time loss, I still get to the same place, but the top route is faster. Now this respect you do stop at, you do want to specifically equip Siegrid. Make sure to have her in the same slot on both weapon slots, so that when you switch between them for recovery cancels, you don't actually mess up your weapon swinging. So as you can see, I'm taking a lot of hits. I'm not really focusing on dodging. I'm trying to more so learn the route, which I do eventually do, although my pathing in these rooms is not to be followed. This is not an example run. This is just for showing like what the techniques and whatnot is. But my pathing is bad. I don't really dodge attacks, and I make a lot of mistakes, as you're seeing in this room. Like I was supposed to go high, I went low. So that's a death. Obviously, don't do that. I also went the wrong way. I was moving right, I was supposed to go down. That room to the left I looked at, but didn't actually go to, I was supposed to go to that one. So, you see, you can see the mistakes, but it's part of the process. There's a fun little trick that gets used a few times. Basically, as soon as you touch the surface of water, you normally hit it to sink down, but if you can hit the jump button before you start sinking, you can actually just surface hop, and it's a little bit faster because you don't have to spend the time inside the water and swimming out of it. So there's a small button on the upcoming ceiling where it slants up and away. Basically, we can't reach it. However, if we use our double jump and get just the right distance and height, we can use Siegrid to actually just barely hit it and open one of the doors, and we can backtrack too. It's a little hard to hit, but even with a couple tries, it's worth it. And here in the waterfall, if you move just outside the waterfall into the air, double jump up and back into it, it is a little faster than just swimming directly upwards without the bubble. So you don't actually want to take this respite. As per usual, the only one you should have grabbed is in the Dryad Forest, I believe. But again, it is a safety strat. Safety strats are not going to get you a world record, but they're going to let you learn the run. So start with them. That's what I'm doing, and my run was still almost 5 hours. Now with this upcoming boss, I don't really know the strategy for her, I'm not gonna lie. I kinda just went at it, and I'm gonna learn specific boss strategies in the future. Right now, I'm just learning where to go, what the techniques are, what the strategies are, and I can get into the really specific room-specific ones later. So, do this fight as best you can, and definitely look at some of the top runs to see if they've developed any specific strategies for it, because I'm not going to be covering that here. Basically, I die a few times, and I lose a lot of time. About 9 minutes, I believe. So there's 2 extra things when killing a boss that can save you an extra bit of time. The first is positioning yourself when purifying the boss. Is that if you're not in the correct position, Lily will automatically run to the spot to purify them. If you can just position yourself directly in front of the corpse, then you can immediately start the purification and start that cutscene to skip. The second is positioning the boss's body right next to the exit door. That's going to save you a little bit of time because there's less travel time between the boss and the door. It doesn't quite matter for the witch because you just return to respite and it doesn't matter where you are in the room. So don't worry about it on this boss, but on Siegrid and Hoenir, definitely important. It will save you even just a few seconds. Also, don't do what I did in watching that cutscene. Skip it immediately. You skip all cutscenes. I was actually just looking at the route to know where to go next because I had no idea. I had zero clue. So again, time loss, but the process of this is you learn by failing. Now, this next part is a difficult jump that I struggled with because I didn't quite know the animation cancel properly. So, there is a long gap that usually we would need the better dash for or other movement abilities to be able to get across, and at the moment we shouldn't be able to, but there is a way to do it very specifically. So by taking that top ledge, jumping, swinging once with the Umbral Knight, and then switching weapons. By switching weapons directly after the swing, it lets you start off your fall at a diagonal. So you're moving diagonally downwards and forwards instead of straight down. You get a little bit extra horizontal movement. So then after swinging once, you use the witch once, and animation cancel again by switching weapons. So that lets you get that little extra bit of mobility, and then you do the dash jump again. So you use the double jump with the dash in midair, and then right before you hit the ledge, you do the double weapon switch with both Eleine and the Umbral Knight, and you should be able to grab the ledge and get onto it. This took me a while to figure out the muscle memory for. It took lots of practice, and it will take you the same amount of practice, if not less. I don't know why my brain wasn't working with this one, but I spent quite a long time with this. Now this next section is a underwater section. So you are able to dash underwater because of the Dark Witch. However, we are able to swim faster by spamming the prey button and the dash button. So you start prey, you cancel it by dashing, and then you cancel the dash by starting a prayer, and you cancel that with a dash, and it's this infinite loop. So it lets you move very, very quickly, and it does give you a good amount of invulnerability, but you'll have less control over it because you can't move in the middle of a prayer. It'll abruptly stop you, and it makes it a little harder to control, in my opinion, but it's definitely very useful in these longer straight passages. It definitely saves you a bit of time, and that is what we are here for. But do be careful not to use it before running into these spikes, because you can't use it going through these. You will die, and don't be afraid to heal, because otherwise you'll end up doing this. And guess what? Now you go all the way back to the respite, and you have to do that jump again. And if it's a jump you're really struggling with, that's it. You're gonna debate quitting the game. So now we move on to the next section. Our goal is that we are now trying to reach the boss in this section, Hoenir, and we are trying to defeat him. And he is one of the final obstacles of this run. It is just getting to him and then defeating him. And at this level, with no relics and these spirits, is not easy, but it's our goal. So let's follow this very specific route, not make any mistakes in rooms, and we'll be there in no time. So you might be thinking, why am I just sitting here in a pause menu? One, it invalidates the entire speedrun, and I can no longer upload it. However, you guessed it, the very first room I entered was the wrong room, and I've backtracked to the top one. Ah, see that ledge? I'm supposed to be on that ledge. You know why I'm not? On the ledge. Try to get on the ledge. It's faster. You guessed it, not supposed to take the respite. Safety strats, cause I die a lot. Not at this part, but eventually. I'm just gonna cut to the point where I start going in the right direction, because the right direction is not right, it is left. I go right. That's a no-no. So the time I take here is really important for the learning process, because I'm going to my other monitor, I'm checking the route, I'm checking old runs, and I'm seeing, it's like, okay, where do I go? Alright, I should go right. It's the, make sure you're following the route exactly, and that was a mimic, that was the wrong route, it was a dead end anyway. I don't know how I managed to do that even after double checking. We're not gonna talk about that part. Yeah. Alright, there you are. You've gotten to the respite just before the boss. If you're learning, I do recommend taking it and then going for it. It shouldn't take too long, but you know, dear God, it's over an hour later. I was stuck here for a while. Again, I don't know of any specific strategy for this boss. He does seem to stun easier when you swing while on the ground instead of airborne. That's with the Umbral Knight. I do notice that Siegrid is better at hitting him with her mid-air attack, so it's a bit of a tricky combo to use. You can hit him out of the air with Siegrid, something I did not manage to do, but otherwise play a bit safe at the start, jumping over the single like kunai he throws. But otherwise you're just doing this until you get to the second phase. Once you get to second phase, you can start using Eleine more, and actually hitting him as he just slowly walks towards you menacingly. The third phase is just scary. He kind of just lands on you and you have to bait that out. But good luck. Actually, I should mention in the second phase, once that begins, then you really want to start killing the other executioners, because they'll be spawning less, I found. They'll still spawn when he starts his third phase, but for the entirety of second phase, I don't think they spawn at all. So you can kill them, and then they won't take the damage for him when you're using Eleine. And you have to be careful of that. Any of your spirit uses that you use to hit the executioners is damage you're taking away from the boss in the final phase, which if you run out, you kind of screw yourself. And there we have it. He's gone. Unfortunately, not too close to the exit door, which is not ideal. But that's that. That is the final boss of the run. The ending of the game is about 2 or 3 rooms away, so that should be easy. It'll take like 3 minutes to get there. Yeah, perfect. Don't forget, this run is a bit less than 5 hours long. We're not even halfway. And there's one jump in between us and the ending. It is this one right here. So you have one hook, you have one small ledge, and to the far right, you have a ledge to get to. This is significantly more difficult than the jump from before. You have to use the same strategy of the animation canceling with the weapon switch in order to gain that diagonal velocity instead of downward. But now you have to use the hook, which is a really interesting glitch, and I haven't really seen it explained, so I'm going to do my best here. Is that essentially, if you just jump and dive off of this ledge and try to swing with animation cancels to the ledge, you can't make it. You do not have enough height, you do not have enough distance, you have to dash from too far back. There's a lot of issues. But we did get the hook ability from the boss we just killed, and we utilized that. So what you have to do is, by using this hook, you hook to it from above. So from the ledge, you jump and then dash. You're doing the usual double jump into dash, and then you hook back to it immediately. In that small time where you're traveling back towards the hook, it actually raises your elevation slightly. So when you let go of the hook, you can cancel it with a jump. So you can hook, jump, dive away with a little extra elevation, hook again, and then cancel that with the jump dive. And you do that basically infinitely until you get to basically a cap. You'll notice yourself you won't really get any higher. But it's not easy to do, because if you mess up a single dive, you lose all of that elevation. Then starts a specific setup, which it really throws me off. Okay, so I explained this once and I realized I didn't explain it great. And that's because I didn't have a visual aid. So this is just a screen cap of the room we're in and the jump we're doing. So you can see how you're supposed to use the hook. It's not easy, and it takes a little bit of practice to actually maintain the height as well as gain height. But essentially, this pillar is the important one. This right here. You don't really need to worry about the other two. Is that, but when you're diving, you kind of want to be diving across this, and you want to end up around here. So once you're in this position around here, you can be a little further. I've seen people do a little further out, so more like this area. Then you want, once you're there, you swing the 3 times, or once, which is ideal. Ideally you swing once, but you can swing 3 times just to keep yourself composed and ensure you're in the right spot. And then you don't need to bother weapon switching. You just fall straight down. Once you do that, you are, not even once you start falling, before you start falling, you are spamming both the hook and the attack button. So by spamming both, you're gonna get the hook as soon as possible, which is necessary, because if you hook late, you lose height, because you're gonna be falling for a bit before the hook actually starts. And you're gonna be attacking, because that is going to cancel the pullback of the hook. So what's going to happen is you're going to fall, it's going to start the hook, and then as soon as it begins, it's going to cancel into the attacks. So then what's going to happen there is that you are now going to be in around this position with your jump, your double jump, and your dive. And that is a very good spot to be. when you finish your swinging, you want to start moving towards the ledge. You are going to weapon switch in order to keep the momentum moving forward instead of straight down. And you are going to almost immediately do the double jump and then dash to go for the good horizontal distance one. If you just double jump and then dive, you're not going to get far enough. So make sure to double jump and then dive immediately, like the movement tech we've been doing all game. Then once you get close to the ledge where her fingertips are basically touching it, I find that's what works for most people. I've watched a lot of VODs and a lot of examples of successful jumps, but it varies. But once she gets to about that point, you can swing once and animation cancel, and that will get Lily to a neutral position where she can actually grab onto ledges, and then fingers crossed she'll actually grab it. So hopefully. So as a recap, you hook jump until you get to here, swing 3 times, fall here while spamming hook and attack, and then as soon as your attacks are done, you're going to double jump and dash, and then you're going to swing once and animation cancel again, and hopefully grab onto that ledge. Otherwise, you're going to be mashing your face along this wall for a while. For me, it was 2.5 hours, and on my next run, I'm going to be doing that again. So, a learning process, an interesting one, but here we are. Let's start the Symphony of Pain, shall we? Fuck, dude. Fuck, dude.
Stop fucking crying, bitch! Where? I don't wanna fucking hear it!
What? Mang. That was on me. That was me being stupid. I just hit it too early. I don't know. I don't know, dude. I don't know. But I need to get this.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on.
Ah! Right. What? And there you have it. Once you finish that jump, it's basically a free walk back. There is a simple tech you can do with Siegrid. You cancel the landing animation of a dive while on a slanted surface. I don't know the details of it, I've only seen it, and I was not awake enough to even attempt it. You can see me try, but otherwise, enjoy the ending. Ah. Oh boy. On a final note, after your run, do make sure to hit that start button and view the save slots. Otherwise, the entire run is invalidated because you didn't follow the rules. So technically, because of that and numerous pauses and breaks in the recordings, because I already, after 2 hours, I was not going to submit this, otherwise you'll invalidate your run, which would suck if you get a really good run. Make sure to do that, because I didn't.